Damn. Well, I think I'm gonna have to look into this. 7 men in 1 year. That photo right there. You're the devil, and you're racist too.
Approximately, we'll go with more than 100.
But I commend Pops for every single lick he gave him to his face, because most people get shot. This particular situation, he never knew until there was a gun in his face and his family was in danger. If you do approach her in any sort of aggressive way, you have a chance of being shot. You will say that he looks so innocent. He doesn't look like he won't harm anybody. He's a little old man. But when you hear about the things that they have done to other individuals, especially children.
What do you feel like doing?
Killing people.
Do you still feel like killing people?
Yes.
Do you think you'd murder me, Joe?
Yes.
And your family ain't shit neither, because they want to come sue because you got shot in your eye for trying to run up in somebody's house to steal their child. Nah, man, he can't go to jail. Why? You can't go to jail. You have to put him in a box and drop him to the bottom of the ocean, man. What he do, my good people. Welcome back to the channel again. So tonight we jumping into disturbing crimes. We don't know what we gonna find, but we definitely gonna be leaving with something. But just before that, I want to give a shout out to every single one of y'all, my subscribers, man. I appreciate y'all. Y'all keep me motivated. All right, so let's jump into this.
Less.
Nobody ever asked me these
Whether the
questions.
cops were following you or not, Eileen.
Oh, whether the cops were following me or not, Eileen,
okay,
what?
Let's say the cops were.
Yo, she got them. I don't even know what kind of ass call those them untrustworthy as. She definitely did it.
Following you.
Yeah.
Let's say they were following you and they did everything that you're saying they did.
Uh-huh.
Nonetheless,
Yeah.
you killed 7 men.
Yeah, sure
And I'm
did.
asking you, what got you to kill the 7
And I'm
men?
telling you because the cops
Hey, yo. 7 men.
let me keep killing them, Nick. Don't you get it?
Not everybody is killing 7 people. So there must have been something in you that was getting you to
Oh,
do
you
that.
are lost, Nick.
So
I was a
explain-
hitchhiking hooker.
Right.
Running into trouble. I shoot the guy if I ran into trouble. Physical trouble. The cops knew it. When the physical trouble came along, let her clean the streets, and then we'll pull her in.
But how
That's
come
why.
there was so much physical trouble in because it was all in 1 year? 7 people in 1
Oh
year.
well. Oh well.
But why not say no?
Because I'm out of retaliation for taking my life like this and getting rich off it all these years in total pathological lying. Yeah, thanks a lot. I lost my fucking life because of it. Couldn't even get a fair trial. Couldn't even get a fair investigation or nothing. Couldn't even have my appeals right. You sabotaged my ass, society, and the cops, and the system. A raped woman got executed and was used for books and movies and shit. Ladder climbs, the election, everything else. I got a big finger in all your faces. Thanks a lot. You're an inhumane bunch of fucking living bastards and bitches, and you're gonna get your asses nuked in the end. And pretty soon it's coming. 2019, a rock's supposed to hit you anyhow. You're all gonna get nuked. You don't take fucking human life like this and just sabotage and rip it apart like Jesus on the cross and say thanks a lot for all the fucking money I made off of you. And not care about a human being and the truth being told. Now I know what Jesus was going through. They've been trying to tell the truth, and I keep getting it stepped on. Concerned about if I was raped, I'm not giving you book and movie info. I'm giving you info for investigations and stuff, and that's it. We're gonna have to cut this interview, Nick. I'm not going to go into any more detail. I'm leaving. I'm glad. Thanks a lot, society, for railroading my ass. Okay, let's go.
It was really pretty incredible that Eileen had just sailed through the psychiatric test the day before. It makes you wonder what you'd have to do to fail.
Damn. Well, I think I'm gonna have to look into this. 7 men in 1 year. At first, man, I was thinking that she was, just crazy, but those are eyes that have seen some things, been through some things, and definitely know some truth. There's some truth in what she's saying because you can see her eyes were wide open as she was talking and she calmed down. So I believe this lady in some way, but in no way is it good to take anybody's life. Doesn't matter what they have done, unless your life is threatened or somebody that you love is being threatened. There is no reason to take anybody's life. But damn,
My ex-boyfriend broke into my house and killed my current boyfriend and then killed himself.
Okay, did you just find them?
No, he killed my current boyfriend and then he held me hostage and he just shot himself in the head.
Just now?
Yeah.
Okay, stay on the line with me.
And he kind of beat me up, and my parents aren't home. It's just me and I'm 17.
What's his name?
Brian White and Jake Burns are the victims.
Jake Bird?
Burns.
Bird, okay.
Where's
Where's the weapons at right now?
What?
Where are the weapons at? Where's the gun?
The axe is in Jake's head and the gun is in Brian's hand.
Where are you at inside the house?
I'm sitting in our breakfast nook. Brian's in the living room. There's the kitchen between us. He's dead. He's gone.
And so Brian killed Jake.
Yeah.
Don't touch anything, okay? Can you do me a favor? Can you go sit on the porch?
Yeah.
What's your name?
Desiree Staperfenny. I can't walk, so I have to.
You can't walk? Okay, just stay there. Are you still tied up?
No.
Okay, do you need an ambulance?
Oh, my God.
What's Desiree?
Yes.
Okay, what happened?
Oh, I put too much pressure on my leg.
Okay, how long did he hold you guys captive for?
What?
How long did he hold you captive for?
Oh, God, since like 8 o'clock.
Since 8 o'clock this morning?
Yeah.
Did he break into the house?
Yeah, he watched my mom leave.
He watched your
and
mom?
I guess came in when Jake and I were sleeping.
Okay, yep. Okay, are you on the porch right now?
Yeah, sorry, my leg really hurts.
No, that's okay. Do you need an ambulance?
An ambulance, no. A medic, yes.
Yeah, well, that's what's going to be on the
I don't need
ambulance.
to go to the hospital.
Okay.
I just want to get these bodies out of my house.
Okay, yep, we're on the way.
Okay, thank you. Are you going to stay on the line with
Okay.
me?
Nope, her mom left for work. And there's nobody else in there, correct?
Correct. I can call my dad. He works at 6 in Haggerty, so he can be home in about 10 minutes. My mom doesn't have a cell phone, so I don't know how to get a hold of her because she doesn't have a job. She got picked up by a friend this morning.
Okay. All right, but there is nobody, just confirming, there is nobody else in the house.
No.
Okay, and where does Brian live at? Where would he be registered out of?
5 in Newburgh. I don't know his address.
You don't know his address? Do you know he lives on Houghton?
Yeah.
Okay, do you know
his car is here in his mom's name. He wants me to call his mom, but...
Yeah, no, don't worry about that. We'll take care of that.
Yeah, my cell phone's inside. I grabbed the house phone because he had my cell phone when he shot himself, and I didn't even want to look.
No, that's fine. Okay, do you know what his middle name and date of birth
The
are?
cop is passing me right now.
Okay, yeah, he's probably just going to park just down the street, okay?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay, no, not a problem. Just stay on the line with me until he's up there with you, okay?
Okay. I can't walk. He beat me up. I can't walk.
Do you know what Brian's middle name is?
Douglas.
And do you know what his date of birth is?
Tomorrow. He would be turning 20.
He would be 20 tomorrow?
There's no one else in the house. They're all dead.
Hey.
That's a tough one to listen to, man. But you never know what people will do when they're in desperate situations like that. That if I can't have you, no one else can have you either. Thing, man, it's true out there, man. You gotta be careful who you dating these days, people.
I can guarantee you that nothing will make you lose more sleep than when you look into the disappearance and death of Dylan Redwine. How he went missing and then was brutally killed by his own dad after finding these really disturbing photos of him wearing women's lingerie and eating poop out of a diaper on his computer. I don't think you understand just how disturbing this case is, so let's talk about it. On November 18th, 2012, 13-year-old Dylan Redwine flew into Durango, Colorado for a court-ordered visit with his dad, Mark Redwine. He would mysteriously disappear shortly after arriving, and what happened after is something straight out of a nightmare. At the time, Dylan lived with his mom Elaine and brother pretty far away from Mark, but Dylan didn't mind because he didn't really like his dad that much. Mark and Elaine had been together for 18 years, but decided to split up, and they were currently in the middle of a divorce and custody battle. It was a pretty nasty battle, and thankfully Elaine did have primary custody of Dylan, but he was still court ordered to visit his dad every once in a while. And one of those ordered visits just so happened to be Thanksgiving 2012. Dylan really didn't want to go for many reasons, but one of those reasons is because not long before this, he and his brother had accidentally found some pretty graphic and disturbing images of Mark on his computer.
Man, what would you do if you open up your parent or your dad's phone and you see some shit like this? Maybe that's the reason why I'm not saying it's right, but that is disgusting, man.
In these photos, Mark was wearing women's lingerie and a diaper, and he was then seen taking the diaper off and eating poop out of it. So obviously this was pretty shocking for the boys to see, but Dylan took a photo of them on his phone, and he planned to confront his dad about these images. He planned to do so on this Thanksgiving visit, and although he begged his mom not to make him go, like I said, this was court ordered, so she really didn't have a choice, sadly. So on November 18th, security footage from the airport shows Dylan arriving in Durango at 5:52 p.m. According to Mark, after he picked him up, the two went to Walmart and then McDonald's, and then after that they went back to Mark's house, watched some TV, and then went to bed. One thing to note is that Mark's house was pretty much in the middle of nowhere, like he was surrounded by the woods for miles and miles, and he had no neighbors. So seeing as though Dylan really didn't want to be around his dad, he made plans to hang out with a friend the very next day, but he never showed up, and this is where things take a disturbing turn. At 7:30 the next morning, Mark said that he woke up to go to work and tried waking Dylan up to see if he wanted to go with him, but Dylan said no, so Mark left. When Mark got home a few hours later, he said Dylan was nowhere to be found, but one of his fishing poles was missing along with Dylan's phone and his backpack. Nickelodeon was still playing on the TV and the front door was wide open. For some reason, this didn't seem to concern him at all, so another couple of hours would go by before Mark decided to call Dylan's mom, Elaine. He told Elaine that he had lost their son, which is kind of an odd choice of wording, but nevertheless, they both reported Dylan missing to the police. Authorities initially reported Dylan as a possible runaway, but Elaine knew right off the bat that Dylan would never do that. And Mark's whole story involving the fishing pole didn't make sense to her as well, because Dylan didn't even like to fish. Furthermore, Dylan was literally always on his phone, and there'd been no activity on it since the night before, not long after he got back to his dad's house. Elaine knew from that very initial phone call with Mark that he was in some way involved in Dylan's disappearance, but she still held out hope that he would be found safe. Authorities issued a massive search for Dylan in the woods surrounding Mark's house, but absolutely nothing was found. It was like he vanished into thin air, and none of his personal belongings that he had on him were found either. As police searched for Dylan, Mark publicly pleaded for his son to come home safe, as everything to him pointed to Dylan having been kidnapped. But Dylan's family—
So y'all trying to tell me that nobody really picked up on how freaky this dad was, man? And really send a little boy out there by himself, no guardian, no nothing? But then again, you know,
weren't the only ones who questioned Mark's innocence. The police weren't buying Mark's story, and he was known to have a violent temper. But at this point in time, nobody could prove that Mark was involved. Months after Dylan's disappearance, Mark, Elaine, and Dylan's older brother went on Dr. Phil to review the case, as everyone pretty much knew that Mark was somehow involved. But Mark agreed to go on Dr. Phil to prove his innocence, and let me just say, his behavior on the show was so disturbing, especially now looking back. I remember watching this episode back, and I just had this gut feeling that Mark was responsible just by the way he was acting. He was being so nonchalant.
Man, if you look at his face, yo, the big old goddamn ass bulging out of his head, man. I don't know. Stuff like this, man. When I hear about that, it's just disgusting me how a parent can't look at their child and do things like that.
And although he denied having anything to do with Dylan's disappearance, he was giving such a poor performance. He also refused to take a polygraph test, which was odd. There would be no movement in this case until 7 months later, when Dylan's partial remains were found just 8 miles from Mark's home. They were found in a deeply wooded area on Middle Mountain Road. He had been dismembered, and his head was still missing. This is what led authorities to search Mark's home, and what they found is horrifying. Police found traces of Dylan's blood all over Mark's living room, as well as the scent of a human cadaver. Authorities brought in bloodhounds, which also hit on the presence of human remains in Mark's washing machine, as well as his truck and the clothes he was wearing the night Dylan disappeared. If that wasn't suspicious enough, after the discovery of some of Dylan's body parts, Mark skipped town and didn't help with the investigation. I don't get how he wasn't immediately arrested after all of this, but he got lucky and wasn't. It was around this time that Mark told his other son that police would need to find the rest of Dylan's body and his skull to find out whether or not he died from blunt force trauma, which is a really disturbing thing to say, and you likely wouldn't say it if you were innocent. Another thing that's extremely noteworthy—
that photo right there. If I was ever supposed to have that exposed about myself, it would probably have me do unhuman-like stuff. But man, that's your child, you disgusting piece of shit. And it's right there, you are one.
Is the fact that as this was all unfolding, Mark told an ex-wife that if he ever needed to get rid of a body, that he would leave it somewhere out
and lingerie on too, brother.
in the mountains. Even with all of this evidence, police still wouldn't arrest Mark, and why that was, I have no idea. But 2 years later, almost on the dot, Dylan's skull would be found 2 miles from where the rest of his body was located. A couple of hikers had stumbled across it, and now authorities could determine what really happened to Dylan that night. Authorities found that Dylan likely died on the night he arrived at his dad's house from a skull fracture and sharp force injuries. It took 5 years, but in 2017, Mark was arrested and charged with the murder of his son. It was determined that in a fit of rage, Mark killed Dylan after confronting him about the disturbing photos. He then dismembered Dylan's body and scattered his remains all throughout the woods surrounding his home. In 2021, almost 9 years after Dylan was killed, Mark was found guilty of the second-degree murder of his son and sentenced to 48 years in prison. What gets me is that during that entire 9 years, he put his family through absolute hell in never telling them what happened to Dylan, when in reality, he knew all along the horrible fate that he suffered. He even lied on Dr. Phil, literally torturing Dylan's mom and brother, when he in fact killed him. All over those photos. Mark has never shown any remorse for what he did, and he's never accepted any responsibility. To this day, he still denies any involvement in his son's disappearance and death. This is probably one of the most disturbing cases I've ever heard about, and yet I always find myself thinking about it. Because all Dylan wanted to do was stand up to his dad, and I just can't imagine the horror that he must have felt in his final moments. I can guarantee you that
Man, there's some shitty ass fathers, but this guy literally took it somewhere else. He's the definition of a piece of shit. Literally.
Please help me! Please help me!
A court has sentenced 31-year-old Marcus Vance to life in prison following a horrifying assault on a 25-year-old woman at a Manhattan subway station. The incident occurred around 11 a.m. on a Saturday at the 63rd Street Lexington Avenue Q train platform. Vance approached the victim from behind, aggressively tackled her to the ground, and attempted to rape her in broad daylight.
What is the cameraman doing? Like you just stand. Society, man.
Bystanders quickly intervened to stop the attack and held Vance until transit.
But before they took their phone out and recorded, though, or after they took their phone out and started recording, like, yo, bro.
Police arrived at the scene to place him under arrest. During the trial, the judge strictly condemned the predatory nature of the crime, stating that such heinous violence violates the fundamental safety of public spaces. Due to the severity of the assault and Vance's extensive criminal history, the court handed down a mandatory life sentence without the possibility of parole. The victim, who sustained several physical injuries during the struggle, testified about the deep psychological trauma she continues to face daily. Should major transit systems increase the deployment of armed officers on platforms to prevent daylight assaults? Share your thoughts below.
Ain't no way in any shape or form does the black community take any sort of representation for this piece of shit.
Keep asking about what happened. Riker, do you remember when you got lost? What do you see?
In June of 2022, 3-year-old Riker Webb would disappear near his home in rural Montana. This is after, for some unknown reason, Riker decided to walk into the woods. Hundreds of people would search the surrounding wilderness, and thunderstorms, heavy rain, and near freezing temperatures. Riker would be found 2 days later, over 2 miles away, in an outbuilding, reportedly in a lawnmower bag. He was hungry and thirsty.
Why is his eyes looking like that? What? I wonder what he saw.
But outside of that, he was completely fine. Now, his older brother Caden had a TikTok account, which is now deleted. However, the Wayback Machine did capture one snapshot, and you can see at the time he had almost 100,000 followers and 500,000 likes. And Caden would take up for his little brother when people called him a skinwalker. And although you can't play these videos, you can see some of the accusations and questions he was getting. For instance, this one said, "Stop using your brother's trauma for views." Or this one that claimed Riker was reading from scripts. And lastly, this person asked Caden a question. Is it true your parents did a DNA test and it didn't match? And that he was found in different clothes? And after digging into this myself, neither of these claims can be substantiated. And his final post simply reads, "Stop saying he's a different kid." This is likely when Caden had had enough harassment towards him and his brother and deactivated the account. However, the only surviving video is likely their most viral one. When Caden asked Riker what exactly happened the day he disappeared.
Riker, do you remember when you got lost? What do you see?
I see a house.
A house? In the woods?
Yeah. So I can let them do it, then I can, so I can live.
Someone lived in the house?
Yeah.
I'm sorry that happened to you, bro. That was scary. You okay, though, now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
But the question still remains. Dogs, drones, and aircraft could not locate Riker. And he had no serious injuries when he was found. So how does a 3-year-old survive all that?
Keep asking.
Well, the good thing is that he made it back home safe, because I've heard of many stories about, kids getting lost in the woods, and many of those stories don't end up like this one does. But hey, people in the comments are even saying that it doesn't look like the same kid, but the hair is the same, the eyes look the same, but I don't know.
The shocking moment a gang rape victim flees her attackers and begs for help in a kebab shop. Shockingly, one of the alleged attackers followed the woman into the eatery and a fight broke out when English speakers stepped in to defend her. The kebab shop owners found the victim with her dress turned out and torn and underwear in her hand, totally disoriented and not speaking a word of French, according to Paris Match. The young Australian woman had been on a night out around the cabaret district of Paris and was approached by 5 young men of African appearance, according to 7 News. The victim alleges the men then set upon her and brutally raped her at around 5 a.m, before she was able to flee to the nearby kebab shop. CCTV footage shows the shaken woman cowering in the corner of the kebab shop before a shocking turn of events. One of the alleged attackers enters the shop and pats the victim on the back before placing a food order. An enraged diner then swung at the man before staff broke up the altercation and the alleged rapist fled the scene. Fellow diners and the kebab shop staff sat with the disoriented woman while they waited for police. The horrific attack is the latest shocking scene in Paris just days before the city is due to host the Olympics. Last month, a young British woman was raped during a music festival in central Paris. She was found clutching her underwear and sobbing on the streets of the French capital. The woman said she had been accosted by a group of men who then raped her and stole her phone. The city has been the scene of extreme rioting in recent weeks due to political instability in the country, and just last week a car ploughed into diners on a cafe terrace, killing 1 and injuring several. The Foreign Office warned last month that tourists should be careful as authorities were expecting a rise in sexual assaults, violence, fraud and theft across Paris in the lead-up to the Olympics. The French government has announced it will deploy 35,000 police officers and 18,000 soldiers on the streets to ensure public order and safety during the Games. In addition, police officers from 43 countries will help man the Olympics, including 1,700 British officers. The Australian Embassy in Paris said it is making urgent inquiries with French authorities. Nicholas Dunning, GB News. Watch the shocking moment.
Man, it doesn't matter when it happened. Grape is great, man. And it's good that this one had a really good ending, because that was very smart of her to actually go in there. And shout out to those guys in the kebab shop that really helped out, man, because things like this do not end out well for women. But man, it's a good ending.
A gang.
A 7-year-old girl was brutally beaten by her teacher after he discovered she was wearing a Christian cross necklace. According to investigators, 24-year-old teacher Ray Sean noticed the necklace during class and questioned the young girl, Zoe Ann, about her religion. When she told him she was Christian, witnesses say his behavior changed immediately. Terrified, Zoe ran to a corner of the classroom, hoping to get away. But instead of calming down, Ray Sean allegedly dragged the 7-year-old into an empty area and continued assaulting her while she begged him to stop. Students and staff who witnessed the attack rushed to intervene before calling emergency services. Zoe was taken to a nearby hospital where doctors discovered multiple injuries across her body, along with signs of severe emotional trauma and confusion. The case quickly sparked outrage across the country. Zoe's mother later filed criminal charges against the teacher, but during questioning, Rayshan insisted he had done nothing wrong. He claimed he never knew the child was Christian beforehand and argued that allowing religious symbols in his classroom violated his personal beliefs. Ray Sean is now being held in custody while awaiting trial, and the case has ignited a nationwide debate over child abuse, religious discrimination, and the responsibility teachers have to protect their students. Do you think this teacher deserves the maximum sentence, or should there be another form of punishment?
I can't use certain words on YouTube right now at all, but you're the devil and you're racist too. Earth is ghetto, people, man. It's so ghetto down here.
Take a closer look at this footage. Hidden behind these images is one of the most chilling criminal cases in American history. The woman you see is Susan Smith. In a televised interview, she sits beside her husband, tearfully asking the public for help. She claims that a stranger had carjacked her vehicle while her 2 young sons were still inside. Within hours, the story spreads across the nation. News networks cover it non-stop, hundreds of officers join the search, and countless people pray the boys will be found alive. Susan appears on television again and again, breaking down in tears and begging for her children's safe return. Most of America believes every word she says. But as investigators dig deeper, they begin noticing troubling inconsistencies. Her story keeps changing, and several details no longer match up. Suspicion slowly starts to build. Even so, Susan continues facing the cameras, still emotional, still convincing. For 9 days, the entire country follows the heartbreaking case. Then everything changes. She finally admits the truth. There was never a kidnapper. Susan had driven her car into a lake with her 2 children trapped inside. What continues to haunt people today is not only the crime itself, but the fact that while millions were grieving alongside her, she already knew exactly where her children were the entire time. Take a closer look at this.
That's some diabolical shit. And from what I'm seeing from the sketch, it looks like they drew a black dude. But, you know, I have to do full investigation on this to know what fully happened. I can't really dash too much accusations. But what I can say, she's a very fucked up mother for the most part. Very, very fucked up. And to go on TV and...
How many people have you killed?
Oh, an approximate guess. Approximate, we'll go with more than 100. I don't. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all.
Oh, this is Richard Kuklinski, the Polish dude. I seen this movie, The Iceman. Y'all should watch that movie. Y'all should watch that movie. This dude is a real interesting character, man.
I don't have a feeling one way or the other. I think if I had a choice, I wouldn't.
I tell you, this guy was cold. This is the Iceman. This is the Iceman.
Richard, when you were on the streets, what kind of weapons did you use?
When I was out on the street to do something, I carried 3 guns and a knife. I had a Derringer in each pocket. on a gun on my ankle, a bigger gun just in case, and a knife. And it all depends how it came about.
How many people have you killed?
These are the type of people that death is scared of, man.
Man has been arrested on child abuse allegations after a video involving a young boy spread rapidly online. And many viewers say this is exactly why adults should never be blindly trusted over children. According to reports circulating online, the child allegedly disclosed abuse to authorities at school, leading to the arrest. Since then, an earlier video has resurfaced, showing the man speaking publicly while referencing religion and scripture. Critics argue he appeared to be using faith-based language to frame himself as righteous while deflecting scrutiny. Viewers were especially disturbed by the presence of another adult in the clip who appeared to laugh rather than intervene. That reaction triggered comparisons to past viral incidents where children were placed in uncomfortable situations for content while adults prioritized image over protection. The core message resonating online is simple. When a child signals discomfort or harm, adults must act immediately. No filming, no public defense campaigns, no spiritual rhetoric, just protection. Because when it comes to minors, the standard isn't negotiable. Safety comes first, before reputation, before authority, before anything else. A man has been arrested.
You see certain things, I know that they're not right, but when you're having your family issues and your family dialects or whatever you guys do as a family, don't put everything online, because not everybody's gonna agree with certain things. In this situation, it does look weird because, as you can see, the lady right there, she was pulling up his underwear and stuff like that, and it's being videoed. So I don't know the full backstory to this, but that's just part of the story. But either way, it does look disturbing.
This story will absolutely blow your mind. There was a 24-year-old girl named Jade who kept having the same reoccurring dream every single night. In the dream, she would be murdered by the same man. She didn't know the man or recognize him, and had no idea why she was dreaming about being murdered by this man. She tried to ignore the dream, but every time she fell asleep, she would be murdered by this man. One night, Jade didn't want to sleep and decided to go on a blind date. The date was at this very fancy restaurant, and she was extremely excited. She got dressed, did her hair and makeup, and headed over to the restaurant. When she finally got there, her date hadn't shown up yet, so she ordered some wine and waited. After a couple of minutes, her date arrived. He was a handsome, tall, and polite young man, but something was just off. Jade felt like she knew him, but she couldn't put her finger on it. Then suddenly, her stomach dropped when she realized that it was the man who kept killing her in her dreams every night. Jade then suddenly tried to leave the table, but the man grabbed her arm and said, "Where are you going so soon? The night is only beginning." This story will absolutely...
Well, first of all, what I know, you can't die in your own dream. You can come close to it, and then that's when you wake up. But then again, there has been dreams that have given people premonitions of what will happen in the future. So this could be true.
Holy shit.
Man, that's a real sad situation, man. That people out there alone, you don't never know who was really going through some real rough things, man. That's why it's always good to be nice to people, man. Shit, this is sad, especially seeing this. Rest in peace, bro.
This 72-year-old man badly beat up a man who broke into his home. In 2009, 72-year-old Frank Corti from England found himself face-to-face with a violent intruder. In the middle of the night, 24-year-old Raymond Folks broke into his home armed with a knife and ready to threaten anyone inside. But Raymond had no idea whose house he had just entered. Frank Corti wasn't just an elderly man, he was a former junior boxing champion with years of training and a lifetime's worth of discipline. Instead of panicking, Frank Corti reacted instantly. He dodged the knife, landed a series of precise blows, and grappled the much younger man to the floor. By the time police arrived, Raymond was barely recognizable. His face was swollen, bruised, and bleeding from the beating he'd earned trying to attack the wrong person. Officers later said he looked like he'd ran into a brick wall. In court, the judge openly praised Frank Corti's bravery and composure, saying the burglar got what he deserved for targeting an innocent homeowner. What could have been a deadly home invasion instead became one of Britain's most memorable cases of self-defense, all because a 72-year-old refused to be a victim. This 72...
I mean, that's what happens when you want to bring a knife to a professional fist fight. I knew he never knew what he was walking into, but I commend Pops for every single lick he gave him to his face, because most people get shot.
This happened on Monday in Tijuana, Mexico. An American tourist went to an exchange house. These are places where you exchange US dollars for Mexican pesos. He exchanged $2,000. Once the transaction was done, he left the facility, and then he drove to this restaurant to have lunch with his family. A group of men entered the restaurant and asked him for the exact amount of $2,000 in Mexican pesos. He handed them some money, but not all $2,000 worth of Mexican pesos. They asked for the exact amount of 2,000 Mexican pesos. That's because these criminals are tipped off by the exchange house employees. After you go to these exchange houses, these employees tipped off criminals, and then they follow you to wherever you go and rob you. So when he refused to hand them exactly the $2,000, they grabbed one of the children that they had in the table and threatened to harm the child unless he handed over the entire amount. I wish I could tell you that this is an isolated incident. Unfortunately, it happens all over Latino America. The same scenario happened to someone from Florida who went to Honduras, and they followed him, and in this case, they shot him dead. After he went to the exchange house, they followed him in a red truck, and they shot him to death. He was a Honduran man living in Florida. When you go visit Mexico or any country in Latino America, you need to understand that everyone is involved in these crimes. When you go to a bank, the bank teller is involved with criminal activities. This man was lucky. They pistol whipped him after he handed over the entire amount, and then they went away. The best thing you can do as a tourist, carry credit cards and don't go to money institutions. This happened on...
Man, that is tough to hear. I've never heard something like that, but the possibility of things like that happening, I've thought about it, but people are doing it. Y'all stay safe out there and make sure when you're doing stuff like that and exchanging money, you know who you're dealing with. But at the same time, you don't know until you know. And in this particular situation, he never knew until there was a gun in his face and his family was in danger, which is sad, man.
Monday.
In 1960, a teenage girl was out camping with 3 of her friends when she woke to the sound of footsteps at about 4 in the morning. Due to the isolation of their campsite, she immediately knew something was wrong. She tried to shake her friends awake, who groggily sat up, questioning what was going on. Before she could answer, something hard swung through the side of the tent, striking one of the teenagers with potentially lethal force. They desperately tried to scramble out of the entrance, but the attacker kept swinging, forcing them to stay put. The attacker then pulled out a knife and once again started slashing at the tent. After a few swipes, there was enough of an opening for the teenagers to fight back. They tried their absolute hardest, but being caught off guard and tangled in the remnants of a 4-person tent didn't give them much of a fair fight. But one of the boys, Niels Gustafsson, caught a glimpse of the attacker. He was a man dressed in black with what appeared to be bright red eyes. Before he could get a closer look, the attacker struck him in the head and knocked him out. Gustafsson was found unconscious the next morning with severe facial fractures and defensive wounds. His 3 friends didn't survive. Due to the brutal and traumatic manner of the attack, he had suffered amnesia. The details told through this story were mainly recalled through either evidence analysis or hypnotherapy, which has a shaky reputation at best. And decades later, the police realized that his story was highly suspicious. He was the only survivor and didn't have nearly as many knife wounds as his friends did. Additionally, his shoes were found partially hidden about 500 meters away with his friend's blood all over them. This led to a trial, which ultimately found him not guilty. But if Nils didn't do it, then who did? Well, one person noticed that in this photo of one of the teenagers' funerals, there appears to be a man who nearly perfectly matches the police sketch. Despite this, nobody could confidently identify him. One of the more interesting suspects was Hans Assmann, who reportedly visited a hospital the next morning with blood all over his clothes. Additionally, he was connected to another unsolved murder. However, he would later be proven to have lied about several major details of his life and had an alibi. Despite having several intriguing suspects, the police never conclusively found the killer. In 1960, a teenage girl was out camping with 3 of her friends when she woke.
Man, I was trying to process all of what happened in that, but damn, this is why sometimes, man, going camping with people at certain places that you don't know, or places that you think you know, go with something that you can defend yourselves with, man.
This teacher in Texas was fired after she defended pedophiles in class. This is Amber Parker from El Paso, Texas. She was 53 years old when this happened. A couple of years ago, Amber was caught on camera by a student in her class saying that they shouldn't refer to pedophiles as pedophiles. She told her students instead we should call them MAPs, or minor attracted persons. The video, honestly, is incredibly disturbing to me. I'm going to read you a quote from the video. Parker said, "Stop calling them pedophiles. You're not allowed to label people like that. Stop it, Diego. We're not going to call them that." She then added, "We're going to call them MAPs, minor attracted persons. So don't judge people just because they want to have sex with a 5-year-old.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! This is a grown woman that's supposed to be teaching kids. Man, I've heard of a lot of messed up things in my life. I beg she doesn't have any kids of her own, but it looks to the left of her that she is in a photo with children of. This is getting me hot.
I mean, what goes through a person's mind when they make a comment like that to a class full of underage kids? It's absolutely reprehensible to me. And if there's one group of people that I have no empathy for myself, it's pedophiles who target young, vulnerable children. Now, when this video came out, this was huge national, international news, and immediately she was put on leave. After a while, the school district had some meeting.
Leave? Jail! I don't care. Jail. She didn't have to put her hands on nobody. Those words enough from her tongue is jail.
And they came back and terminated her position as a teacher, meaning that she would no longer be leading a class in discussions like this. I'm genuinely curious about this. What do you guys, the people who watch my TikToks, think we should refer to these people as? Should we call them MAPs? Or should we call them what I think we should call them, pedophiles? Comment your answer. I'm genuinely curious.
PDFs. They will never stop being PDFs. We need to gather up this lady's whole bloodline and put them underneath the jail, man. This is crazy.
This teacher in...
A man attempted to harass a woman on the street, but to his surprise, she was a police officer. A man tried to stop a woman on the street, thinking she was an easy target. However, this woman was actually a plainclothes police officer on leave. But the truth behind this incident is far more complicated than it seems on the surface. The surveillance footage shows that this woman actually engaged in provocative behavior towards the suspect. She was dissatisfied with the man's gaze and deliberately made provocative gestures to anger him. The man misunderstood her actions and then attempted to assault her. In the midst of the chaos, the female police officer on leave reacted quickly and pulled out her gun, hitting the suspect. After the suspect was arrested, he claimed that it was the female officer who deliberately used suggestive language to lure him, and the entire incident was triggered simply because he had stared at her for a few more seconds. This led to a rapid escalation of public opinion regarding this incident. Many people believed that the female police officer deliberately lured the male criminals and thus easily took their lives. Do you think that if this female police officer really deliberately lured others into committing crimes, then she should bear responsibility for this incident?
So before I say anything, I saw this video beforehand a few years ago, and the story was this dude was trying to rob her of her gun. All right. Now you're hearing that she's the one that provoked dude enough for him to do that. I feel like I'm gonna go with the latter on this one. Because there ain't no way she, you know, have that much power and is just out there hanging out with everybody like she's just part of the crew. They have to have known that she has that gun on her. So if you do approach her in any sort of aggressive way, you have a chance of being shot. So I feel like there is some antagonization in what she did to provoke this man. And that's why I'm going for the latter on this particular video, which I feel like it is true.
A mutilated mannequin has been found in remote bushland within the search area for Phoebe Bishop, briefly making police think they had found the missing teenager. The eerie figure could be seen partially submerged in a waterway, with limbs missing and rubbish littered nearby. Search teams are scouring the area around Bundaberg and Gingin looking for a trace of Phoebe, who was en route to fly from Bundaberg to Western Australia to see her boyfriend on May 15th, but apparently never made it to the terminal. Phoebe nor her luggage have been seen since, and police say neither her phone or bank accounts have been accessed. A local volunteer made the disturbing discovery, initially thinking it was a dead kangaroo. They soon realized it was a human mannequin. The head was taken off, there was an arm missing, and a leg was chopped off. It was like someone had been practicing, the source said. The local tipster was relieved it was not the missing teenager, whose disappearance has made worldwide headlines. Phoebe lived at a rundown Gingin property with housemates James Wood and Tamika Brumley, who have since been charged with unrelated weapon offences. It is believed the couple who allegedly drove her to the airport are the last people to see Phoebe. No charges have been laid over the disappearance, and Daily Mail Australia does not suggest Brumley and Wood were involved in her disappearance. A mutilated
This one is a tough one. This one's a tough one. What do y'all think, man? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. But I really hope that they do give this family or find this family some sort of justice, man. Losing a family member, they need.
Why do you rape young children?
The answer is, I don't know. I don't know the real answer.
Man.
What we're interested in is whether you have any remorse, whether you admit to what you've done, which is sexual abuse, and of course, murder.
Of course I have remorse. But I think your greatest remorse comes when you finally realise the extent of what you've done.
And at what point was that?
Oh, I can't answer that honestly yet.
Why isn't it the point where you're actually raping somebody, violently torturing them? Why isn't it at the point when you kill a child? Why isn't it then? Why don't you realise the extent of what you've done at that point?
Maybe you should ask a psychiatrist that question.
I'm asking the man who did it.
Yeah.
EVIL. There's nothing else I can say about that, man. Let him loose. Let him loose amongst a certain type of people, man. Society people. When you look at individuals like this, you will say that he looks so innocent. He doesn't look like he won't harm anybody. He's a little old man. But when you hear about the things that they have done to other individuals, especially children.
Why do you...
Hello? Okay, where are you located? I'm sorry, ma'am, I can't hear you. Are you able to tell me where you're located? Are you at a... 553 Sheldon Avenue Southeast, please hurry now. Okay, I got Sheldon. What's the number? 553, hurry, please hurry up. 553 Sheldon? Okay, can you tell me what's going on there? Just hurry up, please. I'm gonna die. It's me. You're trying to kill me. You already killed my name. Okay, ma'am, I'll start the police that way. Can you tell me what your name is? Who's the person who's causing trouble there? Okay, I've got a call entered, so we're going to get the police started that way, all right? Can you tell me what room of the house you're in?
Shit. Well, I hope he never got her, man. But stuff like this, all now we're living in 2026. I'm not sure when this happened, but I feel like the police or whatever they should have a system where you can text in emergencies like this because. Wow, man. I hope she lived. I hope she lived. That was a very short and disturbing sounding, the fear in her voice, man. Oh. I mean, I'm sure we all ain't Mondays too, but we don't really. 11 people? Is this true? Do anybody know the backstory on it? She killed 11 people because she does not like Mondays. Jeez.
Feel violent?
Yes, I do.
What do you feel like doing?
Killing people.
Do you still feel like killing people?
Yes.
Do you think you'd murder me, Joe?
Yes.
That's gruesome, Joe. That's horrible.
Yes, it is.
And you don't blame me if I say I hope you never get out of this place.
I hope I never do either.
In November
It's probably all killing them right now.
1974, Joseph Callinger and his 12-year-old son Michael began a 6-week rampage across Philadelphia, Baltimore, and New Jersey. They posed as salesmen, then robbed, assaulted, and sexually abused 4 families. But that wasn't the worst part. Just weeks after Joseph took out a large life insurance policy on his other son, Joseph Jr., the boy was found dead in an abandoned building. When asked why he did it, Joseph admitted, "He was a sacrifice. I had to prove I could kill one of my own before murdering 3 million people." Guys, he believed killing his own family would help him become a god. His plan? Wipe out humanity, then kill his loved ones, and finally himself. It's one of the most chilling confessions ever recorded. Joseph Callinger died in prison of heart failure in 1996, serving a life sentence.
Feel violent?
Yeah.
There is evil, and there is just straight up unhuman-like actions. I don't know what else to say, y'all. That these type of people, man. They're a different type of breed. They're different type of breed.
We took over 600 pictures while cleaning bodily fluids.
So we actually use a software that documents the whole process from the cleaning, the whole decontamination. We share this file with the client and everything's timestamped so they get to see everything that went down throughout the day. So it's a good way to keep them in the loop. They're getting the videos, the pictures updated. I think it's important because a lot of clients sometimes underestimate the amount of time and effort that these jobs require to make sure it's done right. So giving them a firsthand of the whole process from what we're doing, the cleaning from the ceiling to the floors, walls, baseboards, just doing the whole process, taking pictures of the equipment that we're using, the product that we're using, a whole report of 500-700 pictures and videos are like, wow. That's why it's justified, you know. That's why they charge what they charge, you know. It's a very complex project.
We took over 600.
It's a real complex job, man. I've always been interested in who the hell cleans up the crime scene, because after the cops and everybody leaves, you're always seeing the house or wherever the crime is always taped up, or blood is always all over the place. But it's kind of dope to see that there's a real service out there. Wow, it's disgusting.
Pictures.
So the beginning of the video makes sense. Hey, man, it's just leave. It's just leave. Just leave. Damn.
Not guilty of... The 13-year-old boy saved his sister from the kidnappers with a slingshot.
Grabbed the rock, right? I put it right here, and I grabbed it, and I just...
But he was sued by the kidnappers and taken to court, demanding compensation of $1 million from the boy's mother. On May 10th, 13-year-old Owen Burns from Michigan heard his sister's plea for help while playing video games at home. He then saw 17-year-old Terrence Coleman kidnap his 6-year-old sister and drag her into the woods. He quickly grabbed the slingshot, loaded it with marbles, and both of his shots hit the kidnappers. Due to pain, the kidnapper released his sister and fled the scene. It is reported that Terrence first suffered a chest injury, and the severe pain made him mistakenly believe that he had been SHOT. Owen fired another SHOT, this time hitting Terrence's eye and successfully saving his sister. Afterwards, Terrence's family filed a lawsuit against Owen's mother because the doctor informed Terrence that his right eye will be permanently blind. Terrence's family insists that he was just playing with a girl, not kidnapping. They claim that Owen caused Terrence to go blind for no reason and demand compensation of $1 million. This case is still under investigation.
I'm just happy we were able to celebrate her 8th birthday that Saturday after. I mean, we could have been celebrating a funeral or something else.
Brother man, brother man, brother man, brother man. Your ass should be lucky it wasn't a bullet that came through there and ripped through your goddamn head. You worried about being blind? You're going to robbing people, kidnapping people out their goddamn house. And your family ain't shit neither because they want to come sue because you got shot in your eye for trying to run up in somebody's house to steal their child. You deserve every piece of that slingshot in your face, man. And I hope when you sleep at night, you dream about getting shot.
A man who raped a vulnerable NHS worker again and again until she died has been jailed for life for what his victim's mother described as his horrific act. Mohammed Lido had repeatedly sexually assaulted 37-year-old Natalie Shotter while she was passed out in a bench in Southall Park, West London after a night out. He was sentenced for rape and manslaughter, getting a life sentence with a minimum of 10 years 8 months. Judge Richard Marks KC told him taking advantage of her in the highly vulnerable state she was clearly in was wicked and utterly reckless. Earlier, CCTV footage was shown of a mum of two, Miss Shotter, sitting on a bench with a different man when the defendant walked past and looked at them. Lido then left the park and drove away in his car before he returned, jurors heard. Miss Shotter was found dead by a passerby in the park in the early morning of July 17th, 2021. Her mother added that she had to watch CCTV footage of her daughter being raped in court, saying no mother should ever have to see that. A man who raped a vulnerable...
Nah, man. He can't go to jail. Why? He can't go to jail. You have to put him in a box and drop him to the bottom of the ocean, man. People like this, I don't know how, but sin, man. You piece of shit.
NHS.
All right, my good people, so that's gonna do it for this one, man. There's some real messed up shit out there that people have done. Wow, man, but hey, either way, I want to appreciate every single one of y'all for tuning into another video. Don't forget to like, share, and that's most of us keep watching this. Hit the subscribe button. It is free. Your boy's trying to hit that 1,000 before the year is done. All right, until another video, y'all already know. Doses.